Hello, Sweepy coming to you with a roster update video. About 3 months ago, I think I posted a video about a Wakanda roster focusing on King T'Challa's leadership. So I'm not going to rehash it too much. With the looming August updates, there is a lot of chatter about what might change, what could potentially be the next couple of really cool things, and I have really still been thinking about Strength of the Ancestors as a leadership. So it's very straightforward. Once per turn, when you do push an enemy character, if they contact a terrain feature during that push, they do suffer 1 damage. So it turns a lot of the pushes into what feel like one-sided throws. And because these are not uh, collisions, you can't brace them and things of that nature. So like DR to 0 does still work, but brace for impact, which although their changes to throws have kind of reduced the prevalence of the card. There are some other things where, you have like Rocket Raccoon, who doesn't enjoy or doesn't really care about collisions, I should say. So kind of bringing up this leadership again. There have been some updates to the list, so I'm running a lot of the same models still. So we have King T, Shuri, Okoye, M'Baku has come out, and we have put Storm in, which is really to cover a really wide Scoundrels plan, as Scoundrels is in the roster. Spectacular and Bill are in as well, and then we have Invincible Iron Man, Shang-Chi, Juggernaut, and King Black Bolt. A lot of the thought process behind the roster boils down to I want as many of my models to have pushes and displacement. So throws are also great here as they can. So basically everyone on this roster can displace models, excluding Okoye. She's kind of the odd man out, and I'm currently thinking through if I'm going to be keeping her on the list or if I do want to pivot to a different, maybe another three for when I'm in a fightier matchup, such as like Luke Cage, which is a very traditional pick, but he also doesn't have that displacement, or maybe even something like Gorgon, who does have at least like that stagger and throw on his attack. I wonder, does he have anything else? Didn't think through. I'm just kind of having a little bit of no. So he just has that stagger and that throw on his spender. So there's a lot of displacement in this list, and kind of what I want it to function as, and what we've been describing it in that like group of other Wakandan players is New Wakanda Wave. So if you're not familiar, Old Wakanda Wave was a roster that focused on Black Panther 1, Shuri, and Okoye before a lot of changes came through. So both Shuri and Okoye had pretty ridiculous rules at the time. Shuri being able to displace sizeless. Now she can only displace size 3. But it is guaranteed displacement. So something a lot of people focus on with King T is that his damage output is just obscenely high, with Vibranium Spear and Bound being just really good at getting in range 2, killing someone, and moving on with your day. I'm kind of expecting Bound to change a little bit. I've heard a lot of rumors, which I'm not really going to talk about too much here, but I am expecting him to get kind of tamped down a little bit. So I don't really think he's going to be as much of a hardcore killer. He's still going to do great damage for what it's worth as a 5 threat. 6 dice reroll 2 in range 2 is still really good, but 6 dice pull or push towards from range 3 on a long moving model is a very good attack and has very good control. So, to kind of break down the thought process of this roster, I recently listened to an episode of Game Store Guardians with Mike Whalen and Isaac from Canada, or Isak, and they talked a lot about like an A-Force roster and how to really simplify the plan, which is something I feel like this roster has done fairly well. So when you're starting with, King T, Shuri, Okoye, the breakdowns become pretty straightforward. At 17, we play another displacing 4 and spectacular. So we have, tanky Bill. We have Invincible Iron Man if we want to kind of double up on that Shuri bubble and long range displacement on something like an Infinity. And then we have Shang-Chi for when we need a little more mobility and a little more punch to it. So we can kind of modulate between these three. and really pick and choose. You know, you can also go Storm. I just don't think it would ever be something I would reach for at the 17 threat value. I feel that you're going to kind of run out. Now, you are tied to Okoye with this, which is just for threat math right now. I am going to talk a little bit about if that will change and things I have been looking to try. Um, at 18, you know, you can either upgrade your Spider-Man into a 4 threat and run double fours, or you can keep Spider-Man and you go something like Juggernaut. At 19, what I tend to like to do is I'd like to go 4-5, so then you have Juggernaut and Shang-Chi. Another really good option is going Spectacular and King Black Bolt. King Black Bolt has been a rock star for this list. I think he's going to be probably one of the mainstays. And we've tried a lot of other models. We've tried, you know, like Ultimate Spider-Man in the Shang-Chi slot. We've tried Nova instead of King Black Bolt, so we're running double fives. But I seem to be having more success with King Black Bolt just with how his card kind of interacts with the entirety of the leadership and with everything else. And at 20, you can go 4-6, so you can run, you know, any of those first 4 threats that I talked about modulating between and King Black Bolt, or we can even start to look to go 6 wide on things like Scoundrels and go with another 3-4 and pick up Storm. Going 6 wide with this leadership is very quick. Scoring wise, you can really start to eke out a lot of points quickly. And it can do a lot of really cool things. So, a couple of fun little tricks that I've been leaning on and things that I've been enjoying to do are Juggernaut and Shang-Chi together are a very potent little duo. It's really hard to not be engaging with these models from a player standpoint, so a lot of what you'll end up doing is walking, picking something up with Juggernaut, or walk, walk, push, and then you're on a point, and then you're throwing an 8 dice attack, and you're looking for a wild to push a sizeless character, or for a sizeless character push. This is really, really good. When you kind of push that into contention with Nothing Stops the Juggernaut, you know, you can suddenly start only needing to look for about 3 damage on an attack. Wrong link there. Which is a really good thing to do when you're looking for this. I like to kind of pull it up in mcpdice.com, which is just a good dice calculator. So with Juggernaut being at 8 dice, you're a physical attack, so I always assume 4. You're looking at a coin flip to daze in round 1 a 5 HP model, which it's a little bit better than a coin flip. That's actually a really good outlook for your 5 threat, especially when the other side of it is if you miss, you still probably hit that push. There's been a lot of situations where I've not only look to do that, but then Shuri can kind of back him with some rerolls and make it much more likely to either get that daze or get that push. So he does a lot of really cool things in the list. I've been really enjoying playing Juggernaut again. I kind of call him my canary in the coal mine. When he's good, I find the meta to be really good in general, and I think that this is a great time to be playing, even with those updates looming in the distance. Spectacular Spider-Man interacts in a bunch of crazy ways with this leadership. So he is one of the probably best displacing threes in the game. He can displace up to 3 models with relatively good odds. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head for a 4 dice to hit a wild, so let's check that really quickly, but about a 45%, so just under 50%, so it's not uncommon for some of his turns to be, you know, impact webbing, push someone off, get a web slinger, and then he can do it again, so he can try to displace 2 models, or he can go and do something like walk, impact webbing, web sling onto a point. Very good turn overall, kind of helps to look at that, and being close to coin flip to, you know, push models off is really nice. He's also relatively elusive. I wouldn't necessarily call him tanky, but elusive I think is a really good word for him. Being able to reroll those defense dice. Of course, if he does take a little damage, he does get proportionate strength of a spider online. And being able to throw a size 3 character way, or in any direction short, from range 3 is pretty awesome. So very strong character here. I really encourage you know, putting him on the table. He's very, very good. Other shoutouts from the Web Warriors universe are models like 2099 with Web Whip, Ben Riley with Web Whip. When Web Whip is, pulling and placing your friendly model and also dealing a damage, it's a very good superpower. So it can kind of turn a lot of those types of superpowers, such as web lines as well, into those damaging superpowers. I don't really think I need to talk too much about Bill. He's a tanky boy. He moves pretty quickly. I also wouldn't be upset if people looked at someone like Ultimate Spider-Man. I think Ultimate Spider-Man is phenomenal in this roster. He's another model I just did some testing with recently. Um, Ultimate Spider-Man is the Miles Morales 2 model. So he interacts in kind of similar ways. He has web swing, but his web swing does add 2 dice, so it's a little bit different. It does only add them for swinging strike, but swinging strike is also another range 3 pull or push towards this character attack. It does slow them. One thing to note is if your enemy is already slowed or is immune to slow, they do not get pushed because of how this is set up. So if they can't successfully be slowed, you don't get the second half of this clause, which is a little disappointing at times when you have, dropped a slow or two on your opponent and then they really kind of just leave it on. They don't want to clear it, which makes sense. Turning a slow into a stagger is probably not something most opponents want to do. But at the same time, his counter attack is very good, his spender is very good, and re-rolling skulls in defense and dodge rolls is also very good. So I do enjoy him. I played one game with him. He did very well, but I know some of my compatriots are very high on him, saying that at times he feels like he could replace Shang-Chi, which I think is a really high praise for a model. Additionally, like you're looking at a 5 dicer, it's just about over 50% to get the wild, and it is about 65% on the web swing punch. So that's also really good. Iron Man is a really new, more current concept. So something he does that a lot of the other characters don't do is he pushes any size character from range 4. So range 4 is first and foremost a long ranged attack. Being able to push any size character before damage is dealt on a wild is pretty good. We just kind of covered those, various odds. And then something he does really cool is he has Jarvis, which is very similar to uh, Shuri's reroll bubble. So you can kind of stack these two together. Again, range 4 is a pretty solid distance. It is 8 inches on the table, so you can really start to layer these on, and then, paying a couple of power off of each of these models between Shuri and Invincible Iron Man, who will always gain 1 on their attack, whether they deal damage or not, is really good. He does have DR to 0, which is really good. We'll talk about why that's good in this list, but a lot of the models also do have that DR to 0. You have Iron Man, Juggernaut, and Bill. And one of the reasons we do that is we are running Vibranium Shielding, which essentially gives these models DR2 to 0. Then you have someone like King Black Bolt who has DR1, and then suddenly he's got DR2, which is very good. I don't really think I should talk crazy long about this model. He's really good in this list. Being able to push a size 3 character away that is in range 2 that maybe you didn't even attack and stun them and damage them is a really good situation. One thing to remember, it is always the first character that contacts a terrain feature. So it's not the first character you push, but they do have to contact a terrain feature during the push. So if you really need to stop an MCP special, or leaving a model on 1 is the best way to think about it with the leadership, something I encourage people to do is, push the model who maybe they backstopped away, and then push the model you're trying to kill. You're going to have to try to avoid terrain features, but sometimes people will backstop on terrain for you. That's sometimes just free value with this leadership. And I think the big value in the leadership doesn't actually come from just raw damage. At first I thought, hey, this might be able to replace some of the damage lost because we're not running M'Baku leadership. I just don't think that's the case anymore. What I think this leadership kind of excels at is stopping a model from being left alive on 1. Because a lot of the times, because it's not a collision, they can't stop it with like a brace. If they want to use Indom, my current opinion is kind of be my guest. We have enough ways of continuing to displace a model post Indom that they really have to be picky and choosy about it. So Indom is almost a dead card into our list. King Black Bolt is another really cool model here. So Beam 4 with 5 dice to start with, and a push with a reroll is actually a little bit different odds, so we're going to pull that up really quickly. But that gives us close to a 60% chance to hit that wild, um, meaning you can push, 2, 3 models in a turn easily sometimes, and set up other kind of shenanigans, might be the best way to put it. His spender is also really good and packs displacement. And then, if he does hit a big beam, he can telepathic command models, which I find to be very, very good, especially for someone like King T, who, there's been a couple of games where I've walked, hit a beam on like 2 models because of just positioning my opponent kind of either had to take or positioning where King T pulled someone closer or Ultimate Spider-Man pulled someone closer, and then I have like a 2, maybe 3 person beam set up. Because of this, you can really start to then rearrange the field with telepathic command because you're just able to move another ally, which can maybe pull Okoye back. Maybe you push King T forwards to be in Okoye's bodyguard range, but there's a lot of really good options to be had. So that's kind of the general rundown. You have a lot of these tankier models who are great at displacing, and this list is still really punchy. People are going to probably try to target down your Shuri, so I'm going to kind of cover some positioning things on a specific crisis for this. And then speaking of the crisis and the tactics cards, tactics-wise, 2 restricteds are Indom and Sack. I just think that these are probably my favorite 2 currently. We are running Survival, which I think is a great card in the list to kind of have a little extra protection for King T because we don't have we don't have Luke Cage and Heroes, so there's a little lighter on the protection here. We're not running that like Gordian Knot style. We have Vibranium Shielding, which is very good. I've layered Vibranium Shielding and Wisdom before, which makes King T very difficult to take down. I think it would probably make him very unlikely to take a whole lot of damage if he's count skulls, reduce damage minimum to 1. Now, let's say there's a Shang-Chi attacking him, and he's going to get 2 hits off. You're pretty unlikely to get more than 2 damage in. I kind of look for like that 60% is about where I think it is, so you're unlikely to get more than 2 damage in, which is a really good spot considering the inverse of when Shang-Chi would just attack him 2 times. Shang-Chi is likely to get close to 4 damage in. So having that DR, having those count skulls, layering those on top of each other is very good. It also makes the rest of your models incredibly hard to interact with. Helios is really good as just some general like anti-big boy tech. I find it very strong. And then this list tends to function really well on most threat values except 16. So I am just on kind of a refuse 16s plan. The beauty is you never have to play 16 if you really don't want to. So if we see 2 crises get flipped, we're probably not taking the one that says 16. So I think those are assault ships, and I can't remember the other one, but we're not taking either of them. Very rarely would I say that those are going to get picked. If you win priority, the general rule of thumb is you take your secures. We have, I would say, all 5 of these are secures we're very good at. I don't know if we're the best at any of them individually, but the likelihood of us being into something that is the best at them every single game is very low. So I think, we can exploit Scoundrels really well, and I do think we have a very strong matchup into Kingpin style of lists that want to go wide on this, because we do pack a big enough punch to deal with them. We have enough ping damage to deal with the tanky boys who are going to be DRing a lot, which this list does really well with that. So both of these 2 are really good. Power Overload is probably my favorite crisis for this list, just because it has that bonus VP that we can really control. And we can really kind of modulate how many models we have on them. So if we need to stack one early, we can use telepathic command later on in the round to pull one of our models off so we're not getting that extra damage. We are running X flips because we can really control when models are inside of those arcs. And then secures wise, something I've found is that Shuri really likes jailbreak. And kind of sources in general, because sources tend to let her almost sit on something that isn't a true secure, but kind of stand and post up. And if someone wants to come, dive Shuri, usually diving Shuri means our other models are open to do what they want to do, which is way more important. So we're running the four wide. So jailbreak, scrolls, inhuman weapons, and sentinel schematics. We have a lot of midline interactions, so Inhumans is really good. And then we're also running samples. Anything to help us kind of win the game quicker is what we're looking to do. And again, because we can control enemy models very well, we can deny that bonus VP and help break parity. This is also kind of a really cool extract in Shuri's hands because she can start to just really gain a buttload of power. So the list is sitting like this for right now. I'm very excited to continue to try it. Um, so I kind of mentioned I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of like how it would look on a power overload. I didn't put out more than 3 enemy models. I don't really think it's that necessary. But I wanted to kind of illustrate a few important things with the list. So uh, this is power overload and jailbreak. I mentioned I think Shuri's pretty solid on jailbreak because of how it kind of interacts with her. Um, so how this secure works is you want to be able to hold one of these secures that is more than range 5 away from its opposing secures. So these two are both range 5 away from these two. So what does that really mean? That means that even if Shuri posts up as close as she can to this secure, she actually does not cover the entire thing. So even if she goes here, we pull out that range 5. We'll put Jane on the far back of it. We'll say Jane wanted to play incredibly safe. She's way, way, way back there. She doesn't want cover. She just doesn't want to be pushed off. Shuri cannot reach her. So that's one of the reasons why you don't really want to probably put Shuri on this back point, especially in this specific setup. So we're going to bring Shuri back here. What I've been trying to do, and it's not like a guarantee every time, because of course you're not on jailbreak and power overload, is you can just put Shuri back here on one of these. And this does work for a lot of other map types as well. And she can kind of just walk to the front of this. And now, lo and behold, she can see the entire thing. So putting her here later on in the round, so something I've done before as well is, you take jugs, you walk, you push through, because this is a size 3 piece of terrain. He doesn't really care, so this would get blown up. And you push all the way in. Because even if they then double stack a model here, Jugs is likely to push someone off with an 8 dicer, so if they had like Sam here as well, you're pretty likely to get both models off, or at least one of them off with Jugs, and then the other one off with Shuri, if not, just kind of kill them. So that's very good. And then, you have Shang-Chi to walk pick up here, and then you can leave Okoye on this back one to start with, which is perfectly fine. You have Shang, walk pick up, walk to this next one. In this map setup, he does have like that cover, which is really nice. And if anyone wants to come interact with this one, they're putting themselves directly into King T's crosshairs, which I think is perfectly fine. You're very happy with that. Another thing you can do is with King T, for the most part, centrally located. He can't reach them here, but if someone does position a little more aggressively, on this side, or if you even want to put King T, maybe more shaded over here with the plan of just putting a Okoye on that guy over here, King T can still walk 2 times to get there, or King T can start to go here, and then I'm pretty sure he will. Oh, he'd be just out. So he would need to be a little more straight on, which I think if you want to do is perfectly fine. I like to have a little more of that flexibility in what he can do. But I don't think it would hurt to be able to set up for it. You want to try to deny your opponent that VP while getting it for yourself. So being able to modulate between the two is very good. The other side is if they decide to go and attack Juggernaut on the point, one, very hard to move with helmet. 2, he's a size 4, so he's very hard to move in general. So someone like Sam can't move him. You would need a character throw of size 4 or greater, or a character push of size 4 or greater, as he cannot be like advanced off the point, or you have to be playing, I think it's like Sexy Strange, and then he could be placed off of it. So he's very difficult to displace by like 99% of the models in the game. and he's just very good at displacing as well. So a lot of really cool things this roster can do, but very excited to see how it does. At the moment, assuming that the King T changes, if they do show up, are mild in nature, I will be playing this list much more. And I plan on probably taking it with me to some major events here in the near future. Um, I have a group of people who I would like to give a quick shout out to. Those people are Phil Hagen. He is one of the guys who's been testing this list a lot with me. He took it to several LVOQs. He's currently on a rip with it, so he's been helping a lot. Gabe has also been helping with testing, which has been really fun. We have Lord Right Click. I apologize, I don't know your actual name. On the Discords, who's been helping me with the list, as well as Dante. And while Connor has not been able to, Connor's a great sounding board. And I enjoy speaking with all of these guys, so I wanted to give them a quick shout out, as I would say they're kind of like my group of just strictly Wakandan friends who have been trying it. And then there's been a bunch of people from the unofficial fan Discord who have reached out and have wanted to try the list that I've shared with. And I'm very excited to see how everyone does. So if you have questions, like I mentioned last time on many different Discords, I love to talk about the game. I think the game's in a great state, so I also enjoy that. If you ever want to talk about Wakanda specifically, please feel free to message me, at me, whatever it takes to get a hold of me is perfectly fine. My name is Sweepy on the Discords in all of them. I do change my name a lot, but if you type in like at Sweepy, it should find me because it's like my default actual username. Or you can feel free to comment here, and I'm going to be responding. But there's been a lot of great MCP content being created. So quick shout out to like Mike Whalen and company. Quick shout out to the Gamers Guild as well with Shadow Marvel and company. Variant covers from Mike Whalen are phenomenal ways of getting introduced to new rosters, so wanted to give them a quick shout out. And then, of course, the Taco Truck community for Alfredo Size 3 Taco Truck are good friends. I would strongly recommend Vince Kirchhoff's content. He does great roster breakdowns where he's building things and trying things, so I would like to give them a quick shout out as well. Otherwise, thanks for listening. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate all of your time. And remember that death is the best form of crowd control.